Good morning, church family. A Merry Christmas. As we prepare for Christmas in these morning devotions, we are making our way through some of the Old Testament prophecies that spoke of the coming birth and life of our Saviour Jesus. And today we find ourselves in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 2 to 7. This is a passage that is designed to stir up hope in our hearts. Hope for a better tomorrow, which is not a bad way of describing Christmas, is it? We talk about Christmas, we talk about hope at Christmas a lot. And nor is it a bad thing to have to think about as we come to the end of 2020. Hope for a better tomorrow. That sums up much of what we long for at the end of 2020. So what are the things you have hoped for this year? At the end of COVID-19? Relaxation on restrictions? A vaccine to be developed and distributed? The opening of international flights? The opening of state borders? Or maybe other things. Maybe you've been hoping for the birth of a child, or the restoration of a relationship. Maybe you've been hoping for economic recovery, or for a new job, or for some business contracts to come through. What have you been hoping for? It is crucial that we put our hope into the right thing, because disappointed hopes have the capacity, like few other things in life, to shrivel our souls and pull out of us things that we never want to see. Yet true hope is stirred in us when we trust the promises of one who can deliver. So let's look at this passage. In this passage we have 4 different examples of hope. 2 of hope fulfilled, 2 of hope birthed. Let's look at verse 2. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of deep darkness, on them a light has shone. This first picture of hope is that of light shining in the darkness. Think of the sun coming up on a cold winter morning after a long dark night. There is hope. There is something new about to start. And then we have 2 pictures of hope fulfilled in verse 3. You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as they are glad when they divide the spoil. The coming of this light brings joy. Joy like that after the harvest. Now, in an agrarian society, there are so many hopes placed in the harvest. Will it come? Will the rains come? Will they come at the right time? There is so much that is out of control of the farmer. And yet when it's all fulfilled, when it all happens, the joy of hope fulfilled is exquisite. Or the second imagery is that of dividing the spoils after a battle. Now this is foreign to us, but think of what happens as you send your sons off to battle. There's so much uncertainty. There's so many hopes for victory, but will they be fulfilled or not? And at the end of that battle, with victory secure, well, there is joy, there is relief, there is thanks. Hope fulfilled. For the yoke of his burden and the staff for his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor you have broken, as on the day of Midian. For every boot of the trampling warrior in battle tumult, and every garment rolled in blood, will be burned as fuel for the fire. When the light comes, it will bring about a victory on the scale of the victory that God won in the days of Gideon against the enormous Midianite army. Have a look at that in Judges chapter 6 and 7. But this victory that the light brings, this will be a victory to end all battles. But how will this light bring about this victory? Well, the imagery changes and we have another picture of hope emerge from this passage for us. A child is born. Verse 6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given. On the surface of things, a child can't achieve much. So where is the hope in this image? Well, if you live in a monarchy and you are longing for something new, for promises to be fulfilled through this monarchy, and a child is born, then new hope is birthed. But this child, This child carried with him promises that were enormous. Listen to the rest of these verses. And the government shall be on his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end, and on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it, with justice and with righteousness, from this time forth and forevermore. Remember, hope is what stirs in us when we trust the promises of one who can deliver on them. Promises of a better future. Well, here are those promises. But these are big promises, aren't they? How will they be achieved? How will they be fulfilled? Well, we're told, the zeal of the Lord Almighty will do this. The passion of the God of armies, of the Lord of hosts, he will do this. He will see this fulfilled. All those hopes that we talked about earlier, hopes for a vaccine, hopes for a restored relationship, hopes for economic recovery, well, these are all good things. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. But I think we need to call them inferior hopes. I think we need to call them inferior hopes because there is nothing sure about the outcome. A vaccine may come. Well, it kind of has. Will it work? We don't really know. But you know what? There is hope in something that is far superior to this, and we can call it a superior hope. Hope in what was laid on the shoulders of Jesus, the King who was born and whose birth we celebrate at Christmas time. You know what? As we come to the end of a year that was so different from what any of us expected, we have all these inferior hopes. But I want to urge you to put your hopes, put superior hope in the one who can deliver on the promises. Put your hope in Jesus. You know, he said to us, seek first my kingdom and my righteousness, and all these other things, these inferior hopes, will be given to you as well. First, his kingdom. You know what the Apostle Paul said? Talking about some of these inferior hopes, he says, but we hope in the Lord that these things will happen. Don't put your hopes, don't put your hopes in things that are too small. Things that the Lord of hosts has not promised to accomplish. Put your hopes in Jesus, because the things that Jesus is about will be fulfilled by the passion of the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, the Lord Almighty. Let's remember that as we celebrate Jesus' birth. May God bless you.